Nothing could be better than starting a segment with a song about babka. So, welcome to JLive. I'm Laura Mandel, JArts Executive Director, and it's great to be with you for JLive, the JArts virtual event series where we bring you bite-sized conversations about Jewish life and art with the best artists with Boston connections. Today, I'm with musician and Ezekiel's Wheels band founder, Nat Seelen. Welcome, Nat.
Thanks for having me. It's so good to be here.
Absolutely. And thank you for such a festive opening. So, with that in mind, I just love how joyful your music is. It's so festive. Would you play us in with something else?
Sure, I'd love to. And stop me if the sound goes wonky. I think I've got it. Okay, here we go.
Awesome. Beautiful. I love that. So let's start with the most basic. Tell us about what you just played and what does this say about you as an artist?
Sure. Okay, so that was a song that I wrote. It's called Funderclatter, which means from the slippery, which doesn't make any more sense in English than it does in Yiddish. But the reason it's called that is because I wrote it as an homage to a tune by Dave Terrace called Glator Bulgar, which means the slippery Bulgar dance. And I wrote this tune this spring as actually, it was an exercise for a class that I was teaching on composing in klezmer music. And I think, one of the things that I like about it, first of all, it's fun to play, and I think it's fun to listen to. But it also really gets at what I'm trying to do as a klezmer musician, which is to say, to use the language of klezmer music, to use all of this kind of background accumulated cultural knowledge and sounds that we've built up over hundreds of years to do new things and to write interesting new music that speaks to where we're coming from.
I love that. This is why we are so simpatico. This is like right in line with everything we're trying to do at JArts. Like take the tradition and make it modern. I love that. So, okay, you've written a lot of music, but I love that you noted how hard that is as a concept for those of us who don't write music to understand what that looks like. And so you had this brilliant idea. We've never done this before on JLive, so I'm giving everybody a heads up. We're going to try something fun and new right now. Nat, you are going to demystify the songwriting process for us a little bit, and we're going to write a tune together.
That's the plan.
Awesome. So we are going to pull up a screen with some instructions, and then I am going to sit back and let you lead us through this.
Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write a new klezmer tune today in the next 18 minutes or so. And the way that we're going to do it is I'm going to ask everyone who's out there in the audience, just open up your chat window, and into the chat box, type the name of a note, right? A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp or D flat, right? Any note that's on a piano, you type in there, and then type a word, and any word will do. And I'm going to use the notes that you type in to make a melody, and I'm going to use the words. I'm not going to use all of the words, obviously, but I'm going to use some of the words from here to give us a title and to give us a theme. Oh, and I'm seeing awesome, awesome, awesome. We already did babka. I'm sorry. I have a babka song. I can't do two in one day. This is great. Okay, so I'm going to give us like another 10 seconds to put this in the chat box because then the hard work comes. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1.25, 1, and boom. Okay, so we can take this off of the screen. Now we're gonna look. We have a lot of notes here, which is great. And I'm just gonna scroll through and see. I'm just gonna put them together. Some of them are doubled, and that's fine. And I'm gonna put them together into like a string of notes, and then we're gonna play with that. So we've got E, A, C, F. You have named most of the notes. G sharp, going back up to the top, and D sharp. Okay, I think this is enough to start with, and then sunshine, babka, challah, kugel, joy, holy power, gemalicious, peace, kasha. Lots of food. I feel like this is a hungry crowd. This is why we do this at lunchtime. Okay. So why don't we do? Let's do. This is going to be a freile challah. Okay. So a freile challah means a happy or joyful challah, which seems appropriate since we've got a lot of food sounds here. We've got a lot of stuff about happiness. And then we have this melody that has appeared from you typing it in. I'm going to just turn my original sound on so we can hear how it sounds. I like this. Okay, I like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take like 2 minutes and play around with this and try and turn it into something that feels like a klezmer tune. Just the beginning. This is going to be the first motive in the A section. And, well, actually, why don't I talk for 1 second? I'll talk for 1 second about what I'm doing, because Laura did say we're going to try and demystify this. When I write a new klezmer tune, I'm trying to do 2 things, really. I'm trying to balance 2 things. I'm trying to balance a formal structure and a modal structure that makes sense within the language of klezmer, because music comes in languages, very similar to the way that you might speak English, or you might speak Spanish, or you might speak French. And you can recognize someone saying something, but you don't really know what it means, right? If someone's speaking a language you don't know. I like to think about musical styles as languages too. They're just at a level of abstraction that's 1 or 2 points beyond kind of standard spoken and written language. And so in klezmer music, we have this series of formal structures. We have Bulgars, we have Freiluchs, we have Turkishers, we have Jacques. These are all dance styles or musical styles that have certain rules that most of the tunes conform to. They don't always, just like Dr. Seuss can make up words in English and toss them in a book and you kind of get it. We can make up things that don't adhere to the standard styles and they still kind of work. But if you're working within those standard styles, then it sounds like klezmer. We also have modes. Modes are like scales, except they're a little bit more complicated. But the point is that if you know the standard modes that klezmer works within, then you can use those modes to write a piece that sounds kind of like klezmer. So the notes that you have given me, E, A, yum, bum, 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 bum. Those actually fit within a klezmer mode called Mishaberach. And the Mishaberach mode, for those of you who have been to a synagogue, you might recognize the sound and the word. It's named similarly to the cantoral mode, Mishaberach, from the prayer. All of these notes are kind of with it. They're kind of within Mishaberach. They're not exactly. So they're either within it or they're tension notes within it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to think about a structure, and I'm calling it a freilachale. So I'm going to use a freilach, which is a type of dance tune, as a structure. And it's going to have two sections because we only have 10 minutes left. It's going to have an A section, which is going to be 8 bars long. That's the standard freilach A section. And that 8-bar A section is going to be made up. Freilachs are very symmetrical. So you can divide it into 2, and you have 2 4-bar phrases, and mostly those 4-bar phrases you can divide again into 2, into antecedent and consequent phrases. That means, think about it like a rhyme form, right? Where first you say something, and then you say something that rhymes with it. Then you say something that responds to the first thing and something that rhymes with it. And then you repeat it. And that's going to be the A section. And then the B section is going to be also 8 bars long, same formal structure, but it's probably going to be in a different mode. We're going to start in Mishaberach, and the B section is going to be in either a parallel mode or a relative mode. Some of you might recognize that from music class, parallel or relative keys. For Mishaberach, that means I can go up a minor third and have a major E sounding thing, Adonai Molech, or I can do something a little bit funkier. I can go to the 4. We're going to see where this one takes us. So now that we have only 8 minutes left, I'm just going to switch my sound and I'm going to play with it for like 1 minute. We're going to see what it sounds like. I kind of like that. I'm going to write it down. 1, 2, 1. So now as I'm thinking about it, I always write it bum 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 bum, sharp 7, bum bum, and then we'll do that D sharp you said, da 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 da. That's it. That's the Mishaberach sound, that sharp 6, da 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 da. Okay. So now, let's see. Laura, can you hear me okay, by the way?
You
Cool.
sound great. I'm
Cool.
fascinated.
So now this is going to just run through my head for like the next minute or two. And Laura, let's ask some more questions. And as we do it, I'll write down the melody.
Awesome. Very cool. So I'm just loving watching you and listening to you. But tell me, who taught you about music in the first place?
Yeah, sure. So my music education started really early. Honestly, my first memory of music is sitting in my dad's pickup truck listening to cassettes of the Benny Goodman Band and lots of swing music and country music and stuff like that. We'd go for a lot of drives together, and I still actually remember mostly going to Cape Cod in the summer, back when that seemed like it took 5 hours just to get there from the South Shore. And we'd just sit and we'd talk and we'd listen to music, and that's kind of where it started for me. And then I went through the public school system in Hingham. That's where I'm from. Started on viola, didn't sound good on viola. Picked up the clarinet, picked up the bassoon, picked up the saxophones, picked up percussion, and started to get really serious. I went to New England Conservatory for the preparatory program while I was in high school, and really discovered there were a lot of people who really knew what they were doing, which was exciting and a way to get better. I went to Brown University and studied music there and wrote my thesis in ethnomusicology, and then did a huge amount of learning, honestly, just as a working musician afterwards. And throughout that time, that's where you actually learn a lot of stuff, is when you play for people. Throughout this time, I thought, maybe I'll be a scientist, maybe I'll be a musician, I don't know, maybe I've got all these instruments, maybe I'll be a pit orchestra person. And I started playing klezmer, and I loved it. And I always thought it would just be this small thing that I did for fun. And the next thing you know, it's your life's work. It's kind of funny how that works out, but that's how it worked out for me in a nutshell.
It's so interesting. I mean, I think most people would only dream of being able to accomplish what you've been able to accomplish. So tell us a little bit about what's it actually like to be a working musician?
You asked me at a very weird time.
Tell us.
um, it's wonderful. I mean, it's amazing. And some parts of it are really difficult. The hours are super weird. And if you want to like see friends and family, at times when they are free, sometimes that's tricky. But at the end of the day, it's amazing. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I had a gig in Western Massachusetts. It took me 3 hours each way to get there. And she said, "Are you happy you're doing this?" And I said, "You know what? Given that I have to work to earn a living for the moment, until I didn't win the Mass Fax lottery, so I still have to work to earn a living. I'm really grateful that this is something that I get to do right now. To actually, to be my job, to write music, to perform for people. Um, whether it's a concert or a wedding, watching people be happy and dance, seeing people moved by something you do, and then creating something that hopefully lasts a really long time. I think that's something that's really lovely for me."
Wow, absolutely. I'm going to ask you one more question, Nat, before we play, but will you switch your mic just quickly so that we can hear you a little bit more clearly? Awesome.
Yep. Sorry.
So nope, you're good. Before we switch back to play this tune, I want you to tell us all about this new Jewish music series that you are working on. We are so excited at J Arts to be um, presenting partners of this new series, and tell us a little bit about where this came from and what it's going to sound and look like.
Yeah, sure. So I'm working on this series that I think is incredible. It's called the Boston Festival of New Jewish Music, and it came out of a conversation with Susan Schreiner at the Boston Synagogue a few months ago. And basically, we were all sitting at home on Zoom, and Susan said, "If we could use our space for anything musically, what would you want to do?" And I'd been thinking about this for a while, and I said, there's so much talent in the Boston area, and just so much amazing musicianship here. It would be a fantastic thing to have a series that highlights all of the musicians in the Boston, Massachusetts, New England area who are doing new things coming from a Jewish musical place. And so that's what we're doing. We put the series together. It starts in October. Zach Mayer, who some of you might know, is doing a live CD release for his new album, Zamru, which he recorded in his closet during the pandemic, all on his own. And then we've got amazing people. Yeko is playing, Abigail is playing, Sarah Aresti is playing, Yoni is playing, just like all of these really great folks who live right here are going to do amazing things. And every concert is free and performed live with whatever pandemic safe things we need to do, but also live streamed so that folks who are not comfortable being there or who don't live nearby can watch this and listen to this and be a part of the community. It's at bostonjewishmusic.org. I hope that you all join us. It's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. And we will have the link to it in the chat if anybody's interested. I hope you will all join us because it's a really exciting lineup of musicians. And I'm sure many of you out there know that some of the musicians Nat just mentioned, who he works with regularly, are J Arts and JLive favorites. So it should really be very special. All right, let's see. Shall we play? Are you feeling ready?
Sure. Why not? So this is the tune that, this is a Freile Chala, a happy Chala. And to go with the tune, it's kind of woven together. It's got twisty, turning lines, and it uses the notes that you gave me in the order that you sent. And we're going to give it a shot. It has an A section, it has a B section, and it sounds something like this.
am genuinely amazed. That was absolutely beautiful, and I can't believe you just wrote that in your head while I was talking to you.
Yeah, and you know what? This is the first draft, and whenever you're writing music, the first draft is not your final draft. But I love what we put together. I have a concert on Sunday with Ezekiel's Wheels. It's at the Burin back patio. It's an outdoor show, and I'll see if I can put this together with the band so we can play it.
That's awesome. And the Burn is that back room is great. So I encourage anybody, if you haven't been there, to check it out. Okay, so Nat, before I let you go, I do have a question here from the audience that I want to ask you, which
Sure.
is many of us know and love Ezekiel's Wheels. Can you tell us a little bit about how the band came to be?
Sure, this is our favorite question. So Ezekiel's Wheels Klezmer band came together basically because we all moved to Boston at the right time. John Cannon, our violinist, and I had been playing together a couple times a week since we were 18 years old. We went to Brown together and played in the Klezmer band there. And we moved to Boston and said, you know, we need to find the best people we can to play with and just to do more of this music. So we posted on Craigslist because that's how you found people. And I don't know, maybe that isn't actually that's how we found people though. So we posted on Craigslist. Pete, our trombone player, had just moved to Boston from Rochester. He went to Eastman and had arrived there and responded to our Craigslist ad. And we told him that there would be pizza if he came to a rehearsal, and he showed up, and we've been friends ever since. Kirsten, our bass player and vocalist, moved there a year later from Oberlin with her band from school. And our original accordion player had met her at Klez Canada and basically said, you know, friends, I am leaving town. I do not want to live here anymore, but there's a great bass player coming. You should play together, and introduced us. And she came to a show at our, in our kind of small Cambridge apartment, and somehow decided to stay. And same thing, we played her wedding. We've been together ever since. And Abigail and John met at Klez Canada and spent the summer after Klez Canada. They spent some time in Moldova studying violin together. And she came to Boston for grad school at NEC. And John sent her an email saying, here's when rehearsal is. And somehow she showed up and has been with us ever since too. I think it just, the thing is that we get along really well musically, but we also really like each other. And so even though we found each other in funny ways, we've stuck together through thick and thin. It's like a family, not just a band.
You can see it and you can feel it when you play. I mean, it's amazing. But I love it. Craigslist, pizza, and Klez Canada. I mean, what a combo of things.
They go together really well.
Yeah, apparently. And one day we'll have to talk more about Klez Canada because I think all you viewers out there would be interested to know more. But sadly for today, we are at time. So Nat, thank you so, so much. What a beautiful way to enter into the new year, into Shabbat. This has been wonderful. For everybody out there, I just want to remind you that the tickets for the Burin and for the new music series will be in the chat, but we'll also be sure to send those out in an email after this. So thank you so much, Nat. This has been wonderful.
Thanks, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova. It's great to see you here.
See you soon.